Well, howdy ho, my peeps. It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Gorgeous blue sky. It's probably in the mid 70s right now, and I am working on cutting up this pile of brush with my brand new Harbor Freight tiny little chainsaw. It's got a 10-inch bar, which is perfect for doing this kind of work. We also have bigger chainsaws and bigger chainsaws, but this is perfect for the kind of work that I'm going to be doing, which is cutting up this this pile of brush. Also, flip you around, I have quite a pile of brush to clean up there. A lot of it is firewood worthy, so I'm going to try and be thrifty and preserve my resources for this winter and make myself some more firewood. In addition to firewood, which I'm going to continue doing here in a minute, I'm talking to my video, darling. Yeah. And in addition to the firewood, which I will go back to in a couple minutes, I wanted to show you the area up here that Mike had been occupying for a number of years, on and off, parking his truck. You can still see the truck. I think that's from the tracks. Mike has moved to a different little hidey hole up here in the mountains. He has a friend that lives up a little bit higher, and so he's moved up there. It's kind of a long story, and I'll tell you about it. It's not a bad story. It's just one of those stories. I've been helping Mike increase his Social Security benefits. He actually qualifies for supplemental Social Security payments, and so I drug his ass down to Social Security earlier this week, and got him all signed up, and he is going to get some additional funds. He called me to let me know. This is the pile of trash that was left after he moved out. No biggie. It's easy enough for me to pick up. Mike's not in the best of health. He's not very stable on his feet, so I told him that I would take care of any of the trash that was lying around. He did not have to worry about it. So I'm just going to show you guys the inside of the Airstream. This is where Mike was living. Well, not living, but he stored his stuff in here. And so this is the living room part. Actually, it's not in bad shape. I know it looks all dirty and with lots of leaves and all that, but that's no big deal. It's just going to take a little vacuuming and some scrubbing down of walls. I've already come in here and done a cursory wipe down of surfaces and stuff. There's lots of detritus where rodents had gotten in, and this is what the bedroom of the trailer looks like. We still have a mattress on this one side, and this side there is no mattress, but that's okay because that gives actually a storage spot for anybody who may occupy the Airstream. This is a 1976 land yacht, and this is the bathroom. Again, you know, dirty, needs a little clean, needs a big scrub down, but it is not in bad shape. None of this is in what I would term to be bad shape. It just needs to be cleaned. So I will be working on this project here, not today, probably next week sometime. Boy, have I ever been busy. Oh my gosh. Between getting Mike ready to roll on out of here and just regular fall jobs, there's quite a bit. I'm going to flip this around and talk to you. Well, I'm taking a little break. I cut up some firewood. I stacked it in our firewood stacking area, and then I charged up my phone so that I could do this video outside. I'm sitting here in the doorway of the Airstream trailer that Mike had been living in. Let me tell you that story really quickly. So Mike had been hanging out here on my property on and off for, I don't know, 10 years maybe. And it worked out real good at first. However, he has gotten to the point where he needs family support. I can't support him in his medical or financial or housing needs any longer. For a number of reasons. The biggest reason, though, is that he drinks daily and a lot, and his memory's going. He's not in good physical shape. So I made contact with his son and with another friend that lives up here in this area. And I told him, look, I just can't be responsible anymore. And so I need to move him on out of here. He's a liability for a number of reasons, not the least of which is that he has guns or had them. I think his family may have secured that, and he's never acted like he was going to shoot anybody. But you know, when you're feeble and not real strong anymore, you're not safe around power tools, including guns and weed eaters and chainsaws and all that. So luckily his son agreed that he needed some additional sort of support. So what I did is I told Mike that he had 90 days to figure out where he was going to go next, and that in that time he needed to figure out what he was going to do with all the stuff that he drug onto my property, most of it trash. And I said, you know, figure out what you want to keep, what you want to sell. And then another friend of mine, Tom, he stepped up to the plate, and he started to help Mike sell some of his stuff at yard sales, figure out what was trash and what needed to go to the storage, all that kind of thing. And about 2 weeks ago or so, I sat down with Mike and said, okay, well, I need to have you out of here around the 1st, and what can I do to help? And of course he didn't want to hear that he had to go. He knew it, but he knew it in his head, but he just wasn't able to wrap his mind around it, really. So I said, look, I will do whatever you need to help you relocate. So that included staying in close contact with his friends and family, finding him a place where he could land for a little while a lot of this other stuff is working itself out. I also took it upon myself to sign him up for an account with Section 8 housing, which I don't know if they have Section 8 all over the country, but Section 8 just means subsidized housing. And unfortunately, Section 8 is not taking applications at this time. However, I'm going to stay on that until I can finally get him on the waiting list, and that'll take, you know, it could take 2 or 3 years, well, 1 or 2 years to finally move up to the top of the list and find a place. In addition to that, I took him down to Social Security, and I sat there with an intake clerk, and I said, you know, I'm pretty sure with his diagnosis of peripheral artery disease and the fact that he's gone through bone cancer, well, not bone cancer, it was cancer down in his bone, but they got it all. Anyhow, I said, I think he qualifies for supplemental Social Security income. So they took a day or two. They did all of the calculations, and he went down again today by himself. I was proud of him. He didn't need me to go this time. And sure enough, he is going to get a little bit of extra money. So that will help, particularly if he does get some subsidized housing. Part of the problem, well, with men, just in general, but in Mike in particular, is that he's got real problem with going into town and being, not being up here in the foothills or up in the mountains. And of course, there's no social services up here really, except for the food bank. There's no Social Security offices. There's no subsidized housing. It is a pretty rough way to live. If you have no resources, like he has no resources except for Social Security. So he will probably end up with a permanent residence in town. In the meantime, he is in a situation very similar to one he was in here. He's got a fifth wheel trailer that he can sleep in and a place to park his truck. And right now he's not spending a lot of time at that residence. Or at that location. He's going up into the mountains a little bit, and he'll find a place to pull over and just hang out all day and then come back and sleep. So he's figuring all that out. Plus, for the first time in years, his son is able to kind of monitor him. I took a lot of notes about everyone I had talked to and the agencies and all of that, and I provided those notes to his son and also to the guy at whose property he is now staying. And that's about as far as I could go. I couldn't let him stay here. It was everything all of my red flags said it is time for this man to move on. Now, he's never been my responsibility in any legal or ethical sense. I mean, we never dated or anything like that. We were just bandmates. And when the Walmart said you can't sleep in our parking lot anymore, that's when he called and asked, well, can I park on your property? And I said, well, yeah. Well, first I talked to Grant. And after I talked to Grant, we decided that it would be okay for a while. Well, that while turned into years. And in part, it was because I wasn't taking care of business. Shortly after Mike started hanging around up here, my dad got sick, then he died. Then my mother was in mourning for a couple of years. She got sick. I went through her final cancer illness with her. About 9 months after that, I ended up getting RSV, and I was very, very sick for a long time. I put on a lot of weight. I kind of withdrew, just kind of functioning day to day was a little difficult. And any of you who have followed me all this time, you've seen the stuff I've gone through and the times I've been, radio silent here on YouTube for weeks and weeks and months sometimes at a time. And so after I got well from the RSV and I finally got some insurance, thank you Obamacare, and I started dealing with my metabolic syndrome and food and all of that. I kind of did that for like a year and a half, and then I went on Ozempic, which was 15 months ago. The Ozempic really did saved my life in so many ways. So far, I mean, who knows? I might sprout gills and start wanting to spend 24 hours a day in the creek. I don't know what's going to happen because of Ozempic. I mean, nobody really does. But I can tell you in the short term, it has been a lifesaver for a lot of reasons. But one of the things that has happened as a result of losing weight and being able to work and take care of myself in my life, is that I'm able to step up to the plate on previously overwhelming emotional things. Like, what do I do with this, infirm alcoholic who sits on my property and is drinking himself to death, and I can't do anything but watch it. What do I do? How do I handle that? So I figured out how to handle it, and I did, and it didn't crush me like so many difficult decisions do. I feel I second guess, third, fourth guess myself. Am I doing the right thing? All of that. And this time I didn't. It seemed very clear to me. I have to walk the line between helping out this friend and preserving my own health, safety, and sanity. There is a line I had to walk, and I feel like I maneuvered it pretty well. So, that's the story of Mike, and that's why I'm sitting in the doorway of the Airstream, because I've been working up here, getting ready to throw a bunch of stuff on the trailer so I can do a dump run. As I told you earlier, I had my my chainsaw out, and I did a bunch of cutting wood and stacking it. That was exciting. So now it's time for me to stop and do a video. Now, part of this video is a response to a woman who commented on one of my comments on somebody else's video. I will link that woman's video below. My comment is in there somewhere. Anyhow, this woman who replied to me, her long paragraph covered so much about Ozempic and what you go through and what you have to think about if you're going to go on it or not, and how you handle it once you're on it, and all of that stuff. So I just wanted to reply on camera to her. So, and I've condensed and kind of paraphrased the things that she talked about, but I'm going to go over them with you. Her first question was whether or not I had any stomach problems at all at the beginning. Oh, incidentally, this woman is not on Ozempic, but she's considering it. So I went back and took a look at my videos, because I know I talked to you guys about it. And in my videos, I indicated that I had absolutely no stomach upset. However, in service to correcting the record and being transparent, I seem to recall that the first day or two I was a little nauseated. I don't remember it being bad enough to even pay much attention to, and plus I knew to expect maybe you're going to have all these stomach upsets, so I kept waiting for it to get worse, and it didn't. It just went away. So the answer is a qualified yeah. I really didn't have stomach problems, and nothing else ever developed over time, with the exception of once. I believe it was just once. For some reason, I can't remember if it was a holiday or birthday or some reason, I ate more food than I should have, given the way Ozempic works, how it makes you feel fuller longer, because your food does not empty the stomach as quickly, nor does it digest as quickly. So I had a night of discomfort because I just ate whatever, and I ate my previous amount. And this was early on in my Ozempic journey. It was probably the first month in my Ozempic journey. So yeah, no, not really. Now, let me qualify this by saying I have read so many horror stories from other people saying that they had awful stomach upset, so bad they could not continue taking the Ozempic. And man, that's unfortunate. I am so sorry to hear that people have gone through that. And I cannot tell you why I didn't fall into that category. I don't know. I just know that I didn't, and that, you know, I didn't. So, let me tell you a little bit about this commenter, so you kind of know where she's coming from. She's 61. She's 5 feet tall. Spent most of her life at a reasonable, I'm going to say probably a reasonable BMI. She speaks in dress sizes, and that's something we can all kind of understand. So she was like an 11, 12 for, I guess, most of her adult life. Then she went through some pretty serious stress. And she started to gain weight. She got up to a size 18. And I think that was 206 pounds. If I'm reading this correctly. Anyhow, she was startled, and so she has been slowly taking the weight off with diet. I don't know. I don't think she did any special exercise, although she may have, but she didn't refer to it that I can recall. She talks about how she's eating relatively high protein, low carbs, fruits and vegetables, like what so many of us are eat. That's what I'm trying to eat, and so many of us are. She's not doing any specific diet like keto or, you know, high fat, low carb, high fat, you know, any of that. She paleo, whatever. She's. It looks to me like she's just sort of created a food plan for herself, much the same way I did, and looks pretty healthy. Again, I don't know if she's medicated or anything like that, but her food looks good. She mentioned that she's wondering if a modified or short duration prescription to Ozempic can help her. And I don't know, maybe it can. She's going to talk to her doctor about that. I don't know. I'm not going to tell her yes or no, because that's really something that's between her and her doctor, because the doctor knows all of her tests and knows everything about her weight gain and loss history, all of that. However, it is important to note that she says she is not diabetic and that she does not have high cholesterol. So yay, good for her. That's good to know. So she also mentions that she understands that you have to put in the work when you're on Ozempic. It's not a magic pill. It doesn't all of a sudden make you not hungry so you don't eat and you lose weight. That's not it at all. And she clearly understands that. Okay, so my answer to you, dear poster, dear commenter, is that, like I said, talk to your doctor, but it sounds to me like you probably aren't really a good candidate for Ozempic. Now, that's just based on what you've told me. Let's say that you are fraught with anxiety, like I was, and that you are an anxious overeater, and that you're having trouble continuing to control food and control your weight, and you're white knuckling it, and you're just having a whole raft of trouble, and it's not going away, and looks like you've been struggling with extra weight for quite a while now, since you had the issues that you did, and I don't know how many years it's been, but it's been a little while, I'm guessing. If all of those things are also true, then I would discuss those with your doctor as well. And here's why. In addition to having my digestion slow and my stomach not want to eat as much, Ozempic is having at least as big and perhaps a bigger effect on my anxiety behavior. That is one of the first things I noticed. And I think I've talked to you guys about some of this. I stopped biting my nails. I stopped counting things. I was a big counter. I would count stuff. Like make sure I had 8 spoons in the drawer, that kind of weirdness. I I was so anxious about being out in public, so anxious. I was afraid to go to a restaurant. I was afraid I wouldn't fit behind the booth, and often I wouldn't. I was afraid to be surrounded by people, like when you go into a movie theater and you're surrounded by people. Oh God, I hated that. I hated people I didn't know behind me or beside me. I had an awful experience going to the fair once with Grant. We got a third of the way down the midway, and I looked at Grant and I said, I can't do this. I've got to get out of here. So God bless his heart, he takes me by the arm and he says, I know exactly where you need to go. So he walked me back toward the entrance. We hung a quick left and a quick right, and we ended up in the animal area with a big barn that had all of the goats and the sheep and the cattle, and the Clydesdale horses were in a paddock down the way, and the pigs and all of that. And he said, let's just hang out here for a while. So we did. And we walked up and down looking at the animals and smelling the animal smells and all of that. And boy, that calmed me right down. I still didn't want to go out and buy any food or ride any rides or look at any exhibits. We hung out there with the animals for a while, then we left. God bless his heart. Grant is one of a kind. Anyway, so Ozempic has changed my behavior drastically. I find I can go into any restaurant now, and not just because I've lost weight. This started happening before I had lost enough weight that I could actually tell. So this is very much tied into the chemical, into the drug, but at least I'm assuming. But I can go into any restaurant alone or with someone else. If I want to go into a restaurant and eat alone, I've only done it once, but it was really easy. I didn't have any problems with it, and it was a new place, a place I'd never been. I have detested chain store restaurants like IHOP and Applebee's and Chili's and Olive Garden and all of that stuff. Oh, they just freak me out, and I'm not sure why. I always prefer to go into a small mom and pop place. Well, the other day, it was yesterday, Grant and I were out and about. We hadn't eaten. It was getting on towards 3 o'clock, and I said, we need to eat something. I said, what do you think about Olive Garden? I said, I haven't been in there in years. And he says, neither have I. So we just pulled over at the nearest Olive Garden, marched right in, had soup and salad and breadsticks, and I ate half of that big bowl of salad. I had 2 of their bowls of soup, and the bowls of soup are kind of small. And then I had 1 breadstick, and I was pretty much done for the day. That was all I really wanted. I did have, later in the evening, I had 5 little pieces of Costco sushi, which is wonderful, and a half a container of Halo Top ice cream, and boy, I was done, full, happy for the whole day. So that anxiety is gone. The anxiety of driving anywhere, oh my gosh, I was afraid. I can drive with Grant in the car, but I was afraid to drive anywhere alone that was outside of my 25-mile radius. Well, like you guys know, a few weeks ago, I hopped in the car, drove all the way to San Diego, which is a full day's drive from here, drove all the way back, ended up getting pulled over because I was talking on my cell phone like an idiot. And it's like, that normally would have sent me into a complete freak out. Oh no, it's the law. They're going to lock me up. But it was like, no big deal. I pulled over. He said, yeah, you're on a cell phone. I said, yes, I was. Won't do that again. And he wrote me a ticket and handed it to me. I said, thank you very much. And I did not freak out. So that was new. Then 2 days later, I hopped in the car and drove to Northern California, hung out there for a few days. So I am regaining my autonomy. I'm not just regaining my autonomy, but I am gaining new autonomy that I have not had, well, I'm going to say in my entire life, because I've always been nervous about this kind of stuff. It was much less pronounced when I was younger, although when I was in my 30s, I had these weird agoraphobia things where I'd drive to the grocery store and I couldn't get out of the car to buy groceries. I would turn around and drive back home. I've had bouts of that on and off in my life. Wow. For about a year now, that stuff has been gone. And I feel normal, whatever that means, for the first time in my life. Well, for the first time since I was about 10 or 11, 10. So, in a lot of ways, I feel like an 8-year-old again, which is kind of weird. I sort of dress like an 8-year-old. I throw myself at new ideas like an 8-year-old. I don't eat like an 8-year-old, but I feel this amazing sense of freedom, emotional freedom, and I hope to God that it is not just the Ozempic. I hope that I'm actually building new behaviors and new habits and a new foundation of competence to move forward on, even if or when, because I know it's not going to be forever, even when I wean myself off of the Ozempic. So, I hope that answers your main questions, dear commenter, and also fills the rest of you guys in. Oh, I am down to 230 pounds. That is 110 pounds weight loss. I'm almost down into the 220s, almost. I'll update you guys when I get down into the 220s. But, you know, it's been going slowly because I lose about a pound a week now. I'd lost more rapidly early on, but I've settled into a routine where I pretty much know how much food I need to eat every day to stay just calorie deficit enough that at the end of the week, I hop on the scale and I've lost a pound. So that means 4 pounds a month. 4 pounds a month does not seem like much. And it isn't much, but I think it's about as fast as I should lose. There is no way you can avoid loose skin. No way at all. And my skin has gone from being kind of loose to being drapey and weird looking. And I know if I lose, let's say I get down to 150 pounds, which I might, who knows? I don't know. I don't have a poundage on it, but I'm sort of remembering 150, I wore a size 13, 14, and I was extremely active and healthy and had no problems at all. So, you know, maybe that's where I'll end up. Anyhow, let's say I lose another 80 pounds. My skin folds will have skin folds. That's how bad it's going to be. And I can already see it on my face, fairly pronounced. I have, not only are the dewlaps getting deeper, but I've got these draperies of skin draperies hanging here, and I talk about this on all my videos, right? You guys have heard me complain about this. Well, I'm not really complaining. To be honest, really, I'm not really complaining. I'm just simply pointing out isn't that interesting effect of weight loss. I'm so glad I'm almost 65, because at my age, if you have skin draperies, well, you're expected to. Not all of us get them. Some of us, you know, look 29 when we're 65, but, you know, most of us can see all that happening in our faces. And I have always been blessed with a relatively young looking face. So now my face and my age are beginning to catch up to one another. So that's how I view this. Anyway, so, you know, skin draperies. I mean, I don't know if that's, yeah. Thank God for compression garments, which is another thing I say often, because with a good pair of compression leggings and a long sleeve compression top, you don't have to feel all that skin waggling around and flipping itself around and getting caught in your hair. You know, it's everything can be you know, squeezed into the place where it belongs, and you can feel pretty confident, you know, exercising, walking around, putting on clothes, whatever. I'm a little concerned that my midsection is going to be thick enough that, you know, the clothes might fit everywhere except for my waist, and then be baggy on my butt and legs. Who knows? I don't know. Oh, and a lot of that is about choosing the proper clothes. I mean, if you have an entire wardrobe of fit and flare dresses, nobody will ever know. Fits nice to right above your waist, then it flares out and hides everything else. So I've got a lot to learn about wardrobe choices as this process continues. So yeah, I mean, that pretty much brings you up to date. Man, this is a long video. For those of you who hung in with me and listened, thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. And for those of you who didn't, well, you didn't, and you didn't get that thank you. And I sort of don't blame you. I can be long-winded, as you well know. So with that, I am going to say bye-bye. I'm going to put my hat back on and put my hair back up and cut some more wood. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.